I didn't know what to do when I saw her standing there, her face pale and eyes wide with fear. She wasn't even looking at me, just staring at something beyond the trees. It wasn't until I got closer that I understood why. It all started the night my uncle died. I was just a boy at the time, but I remember everything so clearly. My uncle was a strong man, respected by everyone in the village. He had a wife, 2 daughters, but no sons. And in our village, that was a curse. In the old days, if a man didn't have a son to carry his name, his family was seen as incomplete. My uncle's wife, Amina, had given birth to 2 daughters, but no son. I overheard the elders talking, saying that without a son, the family's wealth and land would be taken by the in-laws. They couldn't even perform the proper rites for the dead without a male child. It was like they had failed the village. The day my uncle died, I was asked to stay with the family to help with the funeral arrangements. When we arrived at their house, it was different. I could feel the tension in the air, like something was wrong. I was just a kid, so I didn't understand at first, but I could see how everyone avoided Amina's eyes. Amina sat in the corner of the room, clutching her youngest daughter, her face pale. But something about the way she looked, like she knew something terrible was coming, made me uneasy. The next morning, the village leaders came to the house. I watched them from the doorway as they spoke to Amina. Their words were quiet, but I could see her shaking her head. She tried to stand up, but they pushed her back down. I could hear the words clearly now, "You have no son. You are not part of this family anymore." They said it like it was nothing. As if she had done something wrong by not giving my uncle a son. I watched as the men grabbed her things and threw them out of the house, telling her she had no place there. They told her to leave, that she was no longer a wife, no longer part of the family. She begged, cried, but they wouldn't listen. I saw her looking at the house one last time, as if it was the only thing she had left. Days passed, and it was like she had disappeared. No one mentioned her. But then, about a week later, I saw her again. I was walking by the forest when I saw Amina standing by the trees, staring at something in the distance. Her hair was wild, her clothes torn. She didn't seem human anymore. Her eyes were wide, unblinking, and when I called out to her, she didn't respond. I thought maybe she was sick or had gone mad from everything that had happened. But then, she looked at me. It wasn't a normal look. It was like she could see right through me. And she whispered something, just above a breath, something I will never forget. "They've come for me." Before I could ask what she meant, she turned and ran into the forest. I didn't follow. Something inside told me not to. I just stood there, frozen. And in that moment, I heard something else, something in the trees. A low, growling sound. I turned and ran back to the village, my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't dare look back. The next morning, Amina's body was found near the edge of the forest. But it wasn't the same Amina. Her face was twisted in fear, her mouth open as if she had screamed at something that no one could hear. And her eyes, they were empty, hollow, like whatever had taken her soul was still out there, waiting. The elders said nothing. They just buried her in silence. But every time I passed that forest, I felt like she was still watching me from the trees, waiting for the right moment to take what she had lost. To this day, I wonder what happened to her, and whether the curse she carried with her has come back to haunt us all.